Caseus. Ashes of the Order. Chapter 5. After patching up their wounds, Caseus, Liara, and Pip began the short voyage to Felucia. The sooner we get this over with, the better. Felucia is controlled by the Empire, so the longer we stay there, the more problems it'll cause.
What's Felucia like?
Felucia was the site of a devastating battle during the Clone Wars. It's a planet teeming with life and growth. But there's also a sort of sickness to the planet. The life that grows there festers with the dark side.
Have you been there?
Not personally, but I read plenty of reports from other masters who had traveled there. I guess we'll see if they ring true.
Oh, Captain, I was thinking, if things get dicey down there, maybe I can get a crack at using the lightsaber. What do you say?
Caseus chuckled and adjusted the navigation settings. The day I let you use a lightsaber is the day I have tea and pastries with the Emperor himself. Liara laughed at the remark as the ship jumped to lightspeed. After a little while, they had reached Felucia. Liara gazed out the viewport at the colorful planet below.
It's beautiful.
Looks can be deceiving, Liara. Let's head to the coordinates and find Zaturi and the others. And remember, be careful. If we run into any natives down there, they may not be too happy to see Jedi in their territory.
Got it.
The nebula swiftly glided through the clouds to the dense jungles of colorful foliage. Upon exiting the ship, Caseus and Liara made sure to keep their hoods up and their sabers hidden. Pip put his hand over his eye and looked all around at the massive formations of fungi and bulbous plants as specks of dust, pollen, and spores gently floated by like little snowflakes.
Boy, I'll bet this place is a nightmare if you have allergies.
Come on, let's go.
I get to come too?
If you keep out of trouble. Let's head to the coordinates. Shouldn't be too far.
Yes! Onward!
The three companions began walking on foot towards a crowded forest of tall, colorful trees and formations of what almost looked like coral from the ocean. Liara was awestruck at the beautiful view. But she realized her master was right. There was something not right about this planet. The energy it gave off was so different from Dantooine. Dantooine felt calming, warm and inviting. This place, it felt cold, uninviting, almost as if the planet were sick. You feel it too, don't you?
Yeah. You said the Republic fought for control of the planet. Why?
Your guess is as good as mine. But they fought like hell for it.
I don't know. A little TLC, a little landscaping, and this place might not make a bad vacation spot.
Not exactly the first place I'd pick for a getaway. We're close. Up ahead in the clearing, I think I see something. As they inched closer, they walked through a dense brush and saw the Arabella, and sitting out front, Kresh, Zaturi, and Tosa.
Look who decided to join us.
Zaturi looked up and smiled warmly.
Good to see you, Caseus. And Liara, was it? That's right. Nice to see you again.
Zaturi, glad to see you guys are surviving.
We make do.
Kresh stomped his way over to Caseus and put his large hand on the Jedi's shoulder, grunting something. Good to see you too, Kresh.
There's someone else who I'm sure will be very happy to see you too. Bendel! Visitors!
Out of the Arabella, garbed in a dark brown flight jacket, was Bendel Tyron. Caseus was astonished to see how much he looked like his father. How's you going? Liara smiled and walked over.
Hi, Bendel. Hi. Lana?
Liara frowned a bit before Bendel let out a hearty laugh and patted her shoulder.
Oh, I'm just kidding. How are you, Liara? I'm doing well.
Caseus couldn't help but notice Liara's nervous tone as she moved a strand of dark red hair from her forehead. He then turned back to Zaturi. I wish we had more time to catch up, but we don't want to be here longer than we need to. So why exactly are we here?
Sit. I'll tell you.
Caseus sat on a supply crate across from Zaturi, who tinkered with her metal hand before turning back to Caseus.
In recent months, work has been fairly slow. But someone reached out to us and offered a handsome payment if we helped.
Who? Zaturi pulled out her holoprojector and brought up a hologram of a tall, aging woman with curly black hair and a scar over her cheek.
This is Naya. She works with the rebellion.
So we are getting involved in rebellion business again. Zaturi, we can't afford to—
Will you just shut up and listen? Her son was taken captive along with 4 of his men. This was the last place they were spotted. Our job is simple. Find them and bring them back. That's it.
That's it? There's nothing you're not telling me? Zaturi sighed.
There is an Imperial outpost here on Felucia. Small, but they may have been taken prisoner there. We don't know what kind of firepower we might be up against if things go wrong. So I had Tosa find you to ask for help.
Tell me, I thought we were square. I did my favor for you guys back on Chandrila. I'm your friend, but I don't think I owe you anything else.
It's because you're my friend that I'm asking you to help us. You despise the Empire. So do I. I know that you want to hurt them in any way you can. If we do this and we do it right, not only will we hurt the Empire, but they won't even know you are here. You get to hurt the Empire and you make a little money. What's the problem?
Hurt the Empire? You think that freeing prisoners from a command post is going to do anything to them?
Maybe not. But it's something. And any intelligence we can provide the rebels with about this place will help them in their fight. Caseus, we need you. There are innocent people trapped on this hellhole. What if it was Liara? What if she were held captive?
That's different. Liara is my student.
Don't play it off like this is some cordial teacher and pupil thing. The way you comforted her back on Chandrila. How protective you are of her. She's much more to you than just a student.
Caseus stayed quiet.
Liara is like family to you. Like the child you never had. Now think about Naya. Her child may never see his mother again if we don't do something. If you don't want to do this for the rebels or for me, do it for her. I know you're worried about being found out. I know the risk as much as you do. I'm willing to take this chance to help a woman who needs our help. What about you?
Caseus thought it over. Zaturi really knew how to guilt trip. The smart thing to do would be to leave and stay out of it. The Jedi thing to do would be to help however he could. Let me talk to Liara.
Don't take too long. I'll be here.
Caseus got up and walked over to Liara, who was catching up with Bendel. Liara, I'd like a word. Liara nodded and walked with her master over to a quiet spot. Zaturi tells me that the mission is to sneak into an Imperial outpost and rescue rebel prisoners.
So the Empire is here after all.
Yes. Liara, I'm very unsure about this job. But I'm not going to make a decision without you. What do you think we should do? If you want to leave this place and head back to Sholgana, we can. I won't hold it against you. Liara looked over to Zaturi, who was preparing her gear with Kresh, then over to Bendel, who was examining Pip's shock wrench.
I think we should help. If we aren't going to join the rebels, this is the least we can do. We're Jedi, right? We have a responsibility to help whenever we can.
Caseus looked at Liara and nodded. Okay. You're right. We have a duty. If you're sure about this, I'm with you.
I'm sure.
Okay then. I'll let Zaturi know.
Caseus? Thank you.
For what?
I know this isn't something you're eager to do. It means a lot that you're giving me a say in the matter.
Caseus nodded and made his way over to Zaturi.
Have you made a decision?
Against my better judgment. We'll help. On the condition that in the future you're upfront with me about this stuff.
If I had Tosa tell you the mission, would you have come?
Caseus stayed quiet as Zaturi slung her rifle across her shoulder and affixed her gear.
When this is all done, we won't bother you anymore. You can go back to training Liara.
And what about you? Saturi looked at her boots as she fastened them tightly.
I can't speak for the others. I have plans of my own. Get yourselves ready. We head out as soon as the sun sets.
All right, then. Liara and I will be ready when you need us. Night soon fell upon the colorful forest of Felucia, as Liara sat watching small glowing insects float by. Then someone sat next to her.
So, you're really seeing this whole Jedi business through, eh? That's right. Caseus is teaching me more every day. We're trying to practice a new lightsaber technique, but we haven't had a lot of luck so far.
Bendel chuckled and slicked back his hair.
You Jedi and your lightsabers. Call me crazy, but whatever happened to the days of toting a sturdy blaster and settling things like men?
Liara smiled and held her saber in her hand.
They're a part of who we are. Lightsabers aren't just weapons. They can be used defensively, too. Not just against other sabers, either. I've learned how to deflect blaster shots.
Really? Bendel removed his blaster from its holster and held it out for Liara to examine.
This is my dad's. A DG-29 heavy blaster. Modified it a bit myself. Reliable, versatile, and deadly. You're saying you could block a shot from this? That's right.
Bendel smirked and holstered his blaster.
Well, more power to you. Personally, I don't see a point in getting up close when I can deal with it from a distance. Still, they are pretty neat.
Liara smiled and held it out to him.
Want to give it a swing?
Bendel smiled.
Seriously? Just don't cut yourself.
Bendel stood up and took the lightsaber in his hands, and fumbled until he found the activation switch, and ignited the deep blue blade.
Wow, I can see the appeal.
Taking a wide stance, he carefully moved the blade back and forth.
This thing's got some heft. You get used to it the more you train. Here.
Coming behind Bendel, Liara took his hands holding the weapon and adjusted them. Bendel smiled a bit as he stared at the blade, and, with Liara's guidance, moved the humming weapon around carefully for a few minutes before shutting it off. It was only then that Liara realized her hands were still holding onto his. Slowly, she took them off and straightened her hair.
Yep, that's a lightsaber.
Yeah, interesting.
Here.
Bendel turned to Liara and looked at her as he placed the weapon back into her waiting hands, her face illuminated by the glow of the moon. For a moment, they both felt an odd sensation in their stomachs, and looked at each other.
Liara?
Caseus walked over and briefly caught a glimpse of the two of them looking at each other. Liara cleared her throat and turned to her master, who raised an eyebrow.
Yes?
We're ready. Let's get moving. You too, Bendel.
Right.
Bendel walked past Caseus, who looked at Liara, standing for a moment before joining her master. For the briefest of moments, Liara thought she saw a little smirk on his face as they made their way back to the others.